Sorry, guys, we are late to this party, but do not forget that the Asia Cup's going to hit our screens very shortly. And we at cricket.com love doing previews for any grand tournament, and we're going to be sticking with that trend. My name's Avnish Hegde with some swanky headphones for the first time on this match preview. We have Somesh Agarwal likewise returning to our platform, Nikhil Popat as ever, and of course the man, the late Latif, Gurkirat Singh joining us, but better late than never, guys. First and foremost, guys, how are we on this Tuesday evening? I'll start with Somesh. How are you? Refreshed after your holiday?
All well, yeah. I mean, looking forward to this.
Yeah. How much are you looking forward to the Asia Cup? Be honest with me. Do you care?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've not had quality cricket for a while now. I think since WTC final, everything that has been on has just been for the sake of it. Now it really feels like that we are gearing up for something which matters, which is significant.
Gurkirat, I'll come to you in a bit, but Nix, is this a perfect dress rehearsal before the World Cup, which precedes us?
Yeah, pretty much. Good warm-up games, officially called as Asia Cup games. A tournament designed to be warm-up for World Cups and Asia Cups and other such events. So, yep, may not always be in similar conditions, but good time for cores to come together, especially for India.
For sure. Is this just a cricket fan's dream, Gurkirat, or is it a broadcaster's dream? Because the way we look at it, it could be 3 rounds of India versus Pakistan. Do you think that'll be the case?
It could be 3 rounds of Afghanistan, Pakistan as well. It could be 3 rounds of Bangladesh, Sri Lanka also. Who knows? But yeah, it's something that you would look forward to because you could say that that extra bite is, or that extra pinch of salt or whatever you want to call it, or the masala. It's actually not been there between India and Pakistan. As opposed to earlier years, and the spunk factor has been more with the other two rivalries that I spoke about. So, but yeah, it's definitely a format which is designed for broadcasters more than the team that I feel, because we have seen in the last 2 Asia Cups that Afghanistan have not been benefited through this format because they have won their group games, not quite forward any points, and due to that they've not been able to reach the final. So I feel that if we are being completely fair, those points to be carried forward. And yeah, I personally would want to see when especially when there's a T20 format happening in Asia Cup, that we have more than 6 teams. I definitely see there's the potential for 10 teams, and hopefully we'll see that soon, because I feel the likes of Oman, Hong Kong, these guys can also come in and actually make it a 10-team affair.
Let's see how it all trickles. But look, this time around, it's going to be 6 teams. The first time for Nepal, which will, of course, get some insights from our very own Peter Della Penna and Pramod Anand in just a bit. But we'll also show you all the squads, because Sri Lanka's squad was also penciled in earlier this evening. And, of course, their bowling stocks have taken a hit. We'll talk about that and much more, the predictions with the boys, some key battles to look forward to, and, of course, what we all feel will be some fascinating subplots in this year's Asia Cup. Now, what I'd want to do, gentlemen, I want to start by asking you all a pivotal question just to set context. Who starts favorites? Is it the obvious India and Pakistan, Somesh?
Yeah, I mean, for the past 12 months, whenever there is a question asked about who starts favorite, I inevitably end up saying India. But I think this time I'm going to make a change. I think Pakistan starts favorite. I don't know why. I just have a hunch, or maybe I just want to reverse jinx stuff. But yeah, I mean, looking at them, it's just that they have a lot more bases covered than India. That is the bigger question here. I know India has experience and whatnot, and big shot players. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at Pakistan's bowling attack as a whole, and not just their pace attack, plus the quality in their top order. And I mean, even you forget about their batting. If they end up scoring, let's say 240, 250, which is pretty normal these days. Even if you're not batting well, you end up scoring 250, 240, 250, and their bowlers can then take the game from there. So, I mean, for that very reason, I feel Pakistan starts favorites.
And I don't think many people will put it past you, because even if you look at the ODI rankings as of now, Pakistan do, of course, have the upper hand in that regard. But Nix, looking at the form of Pakistan, because he's brought it up, do you think they're a sure shot already in the final? And if so, do you think India will meet them in the final? Because like you mentioned yesterday in the Monday Night Live, there's never been an India-Pakistan final in the Asia Cup ever. And this tournament has been happening since what, 1984? Why is that?
Yeah, firstly, I'm glad we don't have Akshay because that is taken care of in terms of not being pro India or whatever that is. But I think we talked about this yesterday that it's designed to have more of the same in terms of India Pakistan. But we're stronger. The last two Asia Cup was also a bit like, okay, wow, Sri Lanka won, which is good because you want that to happen. Even Pakistan actually have won only twice, so that just goes to show that there is potential. This time around, I think as Somesh touched upon, the bases covered are far more for Pakistan and India comparatively to Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. And also injuries haven't helped the sides to Bangladesh, to Sri Lanka as well. So I think that just puts Pakistan just in the pecking order just ahead. And yeah, if basics are done right, India should see them. But stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have indeed happened. And I want to ask Gurkirat before we get into all the squads and pick the bones out of it about India, right? Last year as well, we headed into that T20 World Cup down under, and the Asia Cup set as a precursor. This time around as well, but in the 50-over format. How important is it that India actually win this so that they take that confidence and then they win the World Cup?
See, I feel if India don't win this tournament, then what is very likely to happen is that they could end up ditching the right template and change it altogether on the basis of results, because that has happened with this team management. So, for example, if they go in with the idea of batting depth, right, and play Shardul at 8 instead of Shami. Uh, if India don't win the tournament, then they're very well capable of ditching that idea and playing someone like a Mohammad Shami, and then where batting is only till number 7, and trying out for the 3 ODIs versus Australia, and then probably taking a call. So for me, why this is for why it's important for India to win this tournament is because it will make sure that they stick to a template, right? For example, if they play Ishan Kishan in the middle order, and even if KL is not there for one game of Super Fours, and Ishan Kishan doesn't really work out in the middle order, and you lose a few games due to that, then again it's possible that they will have doubts over Ishan Kishan. They will have these last minute thoughts that, oh, should we now include Sanju Samson? For me, now that you've chosen Ishan Kishan, you might as well stick to him and see, because last minute changes have seldom helped teams. It's not that they don't help at all, but the percentages of success aren't that much. So purely from that point of view, I feel it's important for India to do well in this tournament. And doing well in this tournament means only one thing, that India have to win it, because even if they finish up runners up, it will not, you won't really say that they've done well. Also, as opposed to the Asia Cup last year, I feel this is a better preparation in the sense that the pitches are going to be more similar in nature as to what they were. If you compare pitches in UAE and pitches in Australia, poles apart, but pitches in Sri Lanka will still be a lot more closer to the ones that, and they'll not be exactly the same, because the atmospheric conditions, the sea breeze, make sure that the ball can swing sometimes, which rarely doesn't happen if you're playing in India, and especially in the afternoon in North Indian cities. But yes, still a lot more closer to than what it was last year.
Let's see
Yeah, I
how it
mean,
really
just
tickles off for India. Sure, go on.
yeah, I just want to add a point here. I mean, Gurkirat has a point which would be a general opinion, that it would be considered a failure if India do not go on and win it. But this is something I've always felt is a little unfair to the players, right? I mean, what I
True.
would actually qualify as a success is if India go on to play the final. That's it. I mean, on the final, anything can happen. It's just one game, right? I mean, we often quote the Australian team of the past in 2003 and 2007, when they just uh, went on to just unleash hell to every opposition in most games. But that doesn't happen. That's a rarity. That's not a everyday thing. So I just feel that the normal discourse across social media and everywhere, in people's mind as well, is that if the team reaches the final, it should be qualified as success, right? I mean, reaching the final is a very big deal of any tournament.
No, but sports fans are such these days across cricket, football, and other sports where they literally take nothing apart from the silverware. And Indian fans are in the similar mold. But look, they have 11 games to get it right. 6 potentially in the Asia Cup if they make the final. 3 against Australia, which happens after the Asia Cup, and those 2 warm-up games before the World Cup. Speaking of India, Som, we'll jump into the squads with you taking ownership of that India squad first. Remember, there was a Rahul Dravid press conference. He did confirm that KL Rahul won't be available for the first 2 games. So that makes it all the more interesting for that conversation of whether Ishan Kishan starts. He will for sure. Where will he play? And all of that. Before that, like this particular video, guys, all you beautiful people watching. Sumit saying weather forecast says there's a probability of rain. Let's hope that Candy stays away from all the clouds. Unknown going on to say Pakistan is better balanced because their spinner Shadab, Nawaz. Look, all the chat can wait because we're dedicated a viewers corner for you all at the end of the show. So keep your comments coming through. We'll definitely take the best ones for sure. Santosh Shurpa also going to say what mockery they've done for the World Cup ticks. We'll get to all of that and more, Santosh. So just hold on to your horses. So on to the squads then, and no particular order, but we'll start with India because I'm guessing all you guys are keen to see India's particular squad. And Somesh, talk me through what you like, dislike, strengths, and weaknesses, please.
Yeah, in terms of squad, we have had discussions about it in the past. I mean, Rahul Dravid made a very pertinent point a while back that, whenever we announce a squad for any tournament, we tend to displease people, which is always the case. Now, my understanding here is every time when the squad is announced, people should actually look at their best 11. And if their first 11 and the best 11 is selected, it doesn't matter who should be in the squad after that, right? I mean, because because you cannot make 100% case for anyone. It is always your opinion versus the others. But if you think about the best 11s, more often than not, you'd find people agreeing a lot on what is the best 11 is. So if the best 11 is selected, all of us should be happy about the squad selection. And in my opinion, the best 11 is selected. So from the squad front, I'm pretty okay. Now, like you said, Rahul Dravid mentioned that KL Rahul won't be playing the first 2 games. Now, if you go back to the press conference that was held after the squad selection, Ajit Agarkar made it clear that Sanju Samson is the backup for KL Rahul. So now, maybe is it the time to project all our 11s? But my 11 is a little different from all you 3 because in my head, just for clarity, if KL Rahul is not playing, that doesn't mean Ishan Kishan is a short starter. It absolutely means that Sanju Samson takes its spot. Because why would you do it? I mean, all of a sudden, why would you now want to turn Ishan Kishan into a middle order batter? It just doesn't make sense. Now, some might say, oh, righty, lefty, but inevitably your first choice wicketkeeper is KL Rahul, who's a right-hander.
Okay, so let's take a look at our 11s, and I say ours and mine, Gurkirat and Nick's is pretty similar, and this is what we proposed to.
Not pretty, completely similar.
Completely similar. This is what we proposed. Who should start against Pakistan on September 2nd at Pallekele? Here we go. So we've gone for the regular candidates. Som, where do you disagree?
So the only disagreement is where the slash is. I feel Sanju Samson should start because it was made clear in the press conference itself that he is a backup for KL Rahul. So he should start. And on numbers, there is absolutely no case for Sanju Samson to not start in the 11 if KL Rahul is unfit. So it would be very embarrassing. I mean, it'll just end up convoluting every thought process. Because you had the West Indies series to try Ishan Kishan in the middle order. You didn't do it. So why would you do it now is the big question. The other thing is all of us have put Shardul Thakur at 8. I know batting depth and all, but just a question for the panel. How many ODIs have India played with Bumrah, Shami and Siraj in the 11? Can you guess?
I don't think they've played any.
0.
Yeah.
0. And I mean, just the thought of having these 3 in the same 11 is very appealing to me. I would really want them with Kuldeep Yadav as in the form of his life. And Jadeja and Hardik together is as good a fifth bowler as any team can ask for. So trust me, I mean, as far as I agree that maybe India might want to start with Shardul at 8 to give their batting that at least the mental satisfaction ki bhai, there is someone at 8 so we can take our chances. Apart from that, I personally would be very happy if they go the other way and just play their proper bowlers and just choke the oppositions that way.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I've gone for Shardul instead of Shami, firstly, I feel the differential between their bowling is a lot smaller than the differential between their batting. That's obvious thing to say. Apart from that, Shami's strength is bowling with the new ball. Now, if if you look at it with Siraj, Bumrah, and also Hardik being there, India do have three options who can bowl with the new ball, right? So, and Shami is not someone who's been bowling well at the death or been bowling well in the middle overs. On the other hand, someone like Shardul has consistently improved. I think from the beginning of 2022, his strike rate in the middle overs is around 30, and his average has also come down. There was a point of time, in the beginning of 2022, I believe that his bowling average was around 40, but I think that bowling average has now again come down to early 30s. It's around 30, 31. So he's worked on his control. It may not always reflect that way, because I feel sometimes teams just have that temptation to use him in the death, but in the middle overs he's actually worked on his control, and with every series you see that improvement with him. And like I said, even Somesh agrees with the point that he does add value with the bat. I just feel that what Shami adds as a bowler is something that is a base that India already have covered in three bowling options, because Hardik has also now become predominantly a new ball bowler, a swing bowler, because he was doing that in West Indies as well, even in the ODIs. So that is my another reasoning for going with Shardul over
Yeah, but
Shami.
I mean,
Apart from the
one of the aspects that can be handled with Shami in the 11 is you sort of are very flexible with Bumrah. Then you don't really have to bowl him with the new ball, or at least don't have to bowl 5 overs with him in the new ball. You can just give him three up top, save some for breaking crucial partnerships in the middle of the innings, and then save some for the death, just like how India used Zahir. So if that's not the case, Shardul is definitely not your new ball bowler. Then you're looking at Bumrah bowling 5 on the trot, and then when there is a partnership building in the middle overs, the captain would really be thinking in two minds that whether to bring Bumrah now or save his overs for later. So with Shami in the 11, I think at least that aspect would be covered. Then the captain will have the luxury to use Bumrah as he seems fit.
Okay. I just wonder, guys, because ultimately it's the call between Shami and Shardul, right? And we know how Shami always has some love affair with the ICC and the tournament. So I think he might not even play the Asia Cup, even though he's in the squad, and they might start with Shardul because it's the
I think it's very rich of us to just assume that it's between Shami and Shardul. I mean, with this management, you never know. It might even be between Siraj and Shardul. You never know.
Okay, just going back to that first point, boys, because look, Sachin Mondal saying, as already said in the press conference, Ishan's a backup opener. Now, in the experts 11 that we just showcased, none of us have Ishan in the opening slot. So someone has to miss out. So who goes down? Rohit the Gill? Nix? And then we'll come back to Som.
But why? I mean, if Samson is playing, no one has to go down, right? I mean, you have the keeper.
True, but now knowing that they'll play Kishan.
How do you know that? I mean, knowing it's like you're assuming that he'll play.
Knowing this management.
But will they drop Gill?
I don't think so.
I mean, if we just go by logical deduction and nothing else, if we are keeping our biases aside, the logic dictates that you play a player ahead in the squad, player in the squad ahead of someone who's a traveling reserve, right?
No,
and
but traveling reserve has been clearly mentioned. So I mean, see,
I know
there is nothing. Just let me finish. There is nothing set in stone that there has to be only 17 players in the squad. I think Afghanistan or Bangladesh, one of the two, have actually selected 18 players. So traveling reserve is just. I mean, to be honest, they could have saved all this shenanigans. Have had Sanju Samson in the squad itself. It would have saved a lot of debate. And Ajit Agarkar made it really clear that he's the sort of
the
backup
other
for
thing.
KL Rahul.
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gurkira.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Gurkira? When we ask the guy to speak, he won't speak.
I think some issue with his internet. Yeah.
Okay, Next, let me come to you, because Ishan Kishan, they've clearly stated him as a backup opener, but now invariably he's a backup wicketkeeper because Rahul goes out. But I agree with Som. Essentially, it should be Sanju because he's right-handed, KL's right-handed. That's the perfect sort of thing. So they can't even throw in the excuse, oh, Ishan's a left-hander. We want to break the monotony of left-handed. Right-handed. So how would you see this? How do you see this?
See, I think as Som said, If they play Samson, then there is no question at all. You are just taking a player, taking the designated backup, and then putting him back there. The problem with, as Som said, what I presume is they probably felt that they can't take the 18-member squad, which is wow, because BCCI, ACC, whatever we've known in the past, they could have taken an 18-member squad. They probably specified a backup keeper only so that they could take an extra guy. So maybe that was the logic behind taking Sanju Samson as a reserve keeper. So in an ideal world, Sanju comes in for KL. When KL gets fit, he comes back. He gets the games in Asia Cup and Australia. If they want to play Ishan Kishan, he has to bat in the middle order. There is no other question of changing the spot of the top four, because it is KL Rahul who is the incumbent, if you want to call him that, which he is. So nobody else has to move. Kishan bats at 5. See how it goes. When KL is fit, he comes back. That's all.
But
Kishan remains your backup opener.
All right. Is it fair to say that all four of us right now, and plenty of people watching the chat, want Sanju Samson to start against Pakistan, but think Ishan Kishan will start? I think that'll happen. We all want Samson, but it'll be Kishan for sure, right? Good.
So see, the way I look at the squad, I see there's only, if Kishan is your backup opener, designated backup opener, and given the fact that he's played more games than Sanju, then you'd have to assume that his place in the squad, is more certain, as opposed to the place of a Sanju Samson or a Surya Kumar Yadav, right? Now, if you are now playing someone like a Sanju Samson ahead of Ishan Kishan, then you are saying that probably there is another spot up for grabs or up for debate, right? That is something which I feel creates.
But
I disagree with it.
I disagree.
Just imagine, just look at the scenario with if KL Rahul, let's say KL Rahul is the Bumrah of the T20 World Cup, that he's fit now, there is some niggle. They try to force fit him, but he has a niggle in the World Cup. Who would you replace him with? Isn't Sanju Samson the direct replacement for KL Rahul in that scenario? And if that is the case, shouldn't you be prepared for it now?
Ideally, he should be, but given how the squad has been selected, you would probably have to say that at this point of time, someone like Surya Kumar Yadav is ahead in the pecking order, even Ishan Kishan. So that is what I'm saying. If in your thought process, the likes of Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav are ahead in the pecking order for the World Cup selection, then playing Sanju Samson right now doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Because if everyone's fit and you want to take Ishan Kishan as the reserve keeper or the extra batter, and you know that in the World Cup he will not be opening, right? Your top three is pretty much set in stone. Then you actually want someone like Ishan Kishan to have that game time in the middle order, which is something that we had addressed and discussed when we were previewing the West Indies series. This is why all of us felt that it was important for Ishan Kishan to get game time in the middle order. So that is my issue with it. That is why I have Ishan Kishan in my 11, because I don't see how someone like Sanju Samson makes the World Cup squad ahead of Ishan Kishan or Surya Kumar Yadav. And Ishan Kishan straight away comes in because there is no other keeping option in the actual squad.
I think all three can make the squad if KL Rahul is injured. That's my point, if you think about it.
But it comes down to one guy being picked for the job, guys. So they have 11 games to figure it out.
And to be honest, I mean, if you really ask me what is going to happen if they don't play Samson, I actually foresee India's top three in any particular order being Rohit, Gill, and Kishan. And then Kohli will have to bat at 4. You already see this narrative developing. It has some reasoning to it. There is a reason for all these conversations to develop. I won't be surprised if that happens, because I don't see Ishan Kishan batting at 5.
Yeah, it's too much of an ask, and he's just not, like, we're shoehorning him for no reason. But look, let's leave the India chat there, because guys in the comments saying Asia Cup review, India's Asia Cup review, Santosh. But trust me, we're going to be talking about all the other teams. Let's move on then to India's most fierce competitor, I'm guessing, in terms of this Asia Cup, and that is Pakistan. Gurkirat, walk me through the squad. What are the weaknesses and strengths, which one can normally just tell by looking at these 17 names? 18 names, or how many ever they are?
So the major thing that you will see with the 11 that Pakistan will come up with is that you will feel that while there is batting depth, with batting till number 10, with even Naseem Shah being able to hit a couple of boundaries. The middle order, or the 5, 6, 7, will sort of be an underbelly. In the Afghanistan series, what happened was that, okay, in one game, Aga Salman or Salman Ali Aga stepped up. In another game, Iftikhar contributed. Then there were contributions by Shadab. So you have these players who could play the cameos or those impactful contributions. But the biggest fear with Pakistan is still that if you get their top, if you get 2 wickets early, and one of them being Babar, if you get Imam and Babar early, then how will they reconstruct the innings, and will they be able to do it at a decent enough tempo is a challenge in front of them, because Rizwan has contributed. He made runs in the last ODI as well, where the pitch was slightly difficult. But the question was, where you felt in that partnership that the tempo or the run rate wasn't good enough. So there is batting depth. There are options. There are players who can do the scoring. But this is a team that will need at least one of its anchors to bat through to post an above par total. With India, and this is where I feel India's top 5 or top 6 is better, because KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer have shown in the past that they are able to resurrect an innings and resurrect it at a decent tempo. KL Rahul has come under a lot of criticism in the past, but in ODIs, whenever he's walked in at a situation, whether you look at that Bangladesh series where again everyone was struggling to score runs, he was just able to come and score at a good tempo. With Shreyas, again, he doesn't get, he will, Shreyas is not someone who struggles to rotate the strike. So this is one underbelly of Pakistan where you feel that if you get in, 2 wickets in the first 10 overs, then you can sort of put a stranglehold and a choke and make them commit those mistakes. This is one weakness you see, and the other is lack of wickets in the middle overs. I just have some numbers from the last 2 years when it comes to Pakistan. The maximum number of wickets that have been taken by any Pakistan bowler in overs 11 to 40 in the last 2 years is Mohammad Nawaz, who's taken 17 wickets. And there is no bowler who has a strike rate of under 30 in the middle overs. Shadab has taken 15. Haris Rauf has taken just 9 wickets in 16 innings. Naseem Shah has only taken 3 wickets in 10 innings. Shaheen has only taken 3 wickets in 9 innings. So on a placid track, and again, this was evident in that second ODI. If they don't get wickets with the new ball, in the middle overs, they can struggle to take wickets. And maybe if it had been some other side and not Afghanistan, in that second ODI, that other side could have easily put up a total of 330 instead of just 300. So these are two major weaknesses, you could say, or underbellies of the Pakistan unit. Otherwise, like we've said, early on when we were talking about which team goes into as favorites, you would have to say that on paper they cover far more bases than any other team. They're probably slightly ahead of India in terms of covering bases, but they don't even play a lot of cricket together. Someone like Shreyas is coming after a long time. Rahul's coming after a long time. Bumrah's playing an ODI. Feel I think the last ODI he played 3 ODIs where in the first game he took a sixfer, if I'm not wrong. So that is like India still have a few uncertainties about their 11. With Pakistan, that is not the case.
Ankar Biswas going on to say Park is looking strong. One, Farah can win them a match single-handedly. Babar, Imam, a perfect ODI batters. Rizwan is a busy player, and 4 batting depth from 7 to 11. Before we move away from Pakistan, because I asked Nix this yesterday, I just want to get Som's thoughts on this. We had a little fun in games with the boys saying, agree or disagree, Pakistan an overrated side in ODIs. Som, do you think they're overrated?
No, I don't think so. In fact, if anything, they're underrated. If you talk about, I mean, look at the globe. I mean, if you go across the globe, people won't count Pakistan as favorites for the World Cup. And to be honest, they are one of the teams who can, just go all the way.
So India, Pakistan done. We have 4 more scores to quickly.
But I just have one more pointer about Pakistan before we move ahead. There's one more thing I'd be really keen to see is, Pakistan actually play at home a lot. Even if you look at the last couple of years, I think 14 out of their 17 ODIs have been at home. So that is also something that I'm really interested to see in the Asia Cup and the World Cup. The good thing for Pakistan is both these tournaments are at places where they understand the wickets. I mean, they travel to Sri Lanka often, and Indian wickets is something which come naturally to all subcontinent players. So that's an advantage. But apart from that, I would be very keen to see how Pakistan adapt away from home. Something which is a similar, thing for Bangladesh as well, because with them also it's a similar case.
Pakistan do play the tournament's opener against Nepal, like Som said, at home in Multan, and they'd of course play, I think, in Lahore as well before taking on India in Pallekele. Right, let's move on to Sri Lanka then, because Nix has been waiting patiently, and Sri Lanka did announce their squad earlier this evening. Like we said, we'll reflect it for you. Before we talk about Sri Lanka, can we just like this video if you guys think that it's going to be an India-Pakistan Asia Cup final, or even if you guys don't think it's an India-Pakistan Asia Cup final, like this video because it propels the algorithm. And you can take it away, Nikhil Popat, with the Sri Lanka squad. What do you like? What do you dislike? I think there are more dislikes than likes, I get.
It's actually a bit unfortunate that they've lost some of their key performers to injuries. Their strike bowler, the all-rounder who won the LPL by himself, is not part of the squad, Vanindu, because of a strain. Dushmanta Chamira is missing. Madhushanka, who was X-Factor pick, is also missing from this setup. But I feel they still have a better bowling attack in terms of variety and options. In terms of Theekshana, Velalage is coming off a decent LPL. You have Pathirana there. Yes, injury concerns with Binura Fernando as well, because we've seen him pull up after not having a lot of cricket. So that's something that I'm hoping that Sri Lanka find a way in terms of their reserves, because Kasun Rajita also was decently good in the LPL. So the one thing that could help them is having played a lot of recent cricket, not the longer format, but in that format they look decently. The only time for me is their batting. I think a lot of pressure and focus will be on the likes of Nisanka and Kusal Pereira. Kusal Pereira, mind you, is also returning after a while. He hasn't had consistent cricket. So he's also down with COVID, if I'm not wrong. So they'll have to find a way to get that batting together. Rajapaksa hasn't been in that great touch. So if the batting can conjure up decent performances, I think the bowling still has something to give to back them. The bowling will have to win them more games, I feel. And in terms of batting, very unfortunate that you don't have the key players, because that is a letdown, because otherwise there has been a lot of good rivalry building with Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, uh, and Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and in that regard. So it would have been great to have that group of death being that entertaining. But eventually, I think for all those teams there, their bowling will decide. And we're looking out for Hemanta, who's the leggy, replacing Banindu there. So they haven't had the success. They did well in the qualifiers, but they'll have to really punch above their weight with the squad that they have.
Look, about Sri Lanka, right? They love the Asia Cup. They won it 6 times. India, the only side who won it more, 7 times in their history. Let's see if Sri Lanka can make the most of it. So just to close the Sri Lanka chat out, you think about Sri Lanka as an ODI side, and there's still a lot of wrinkles to be ironed across. We saw them recently in Zimbabwe qualify for the World Cup. And it kind of tells us whether they're actually a good ODI side or whether they're just filling up numbers for the Asia Cup. Where do you think and how do you think they'll feature in this particular tournament?
See, first and foremost, the positive is they have a few match winners in their ranks. I know Hasaranga is a very big loss. I mean, they would have. I think the only other player they couldn't afford to lose is maybe DDS. But apart from that, I mean, DDS and Hasaranga, in my opinion, are the 2 players that Sri Lanka cannot, not have in their 11. So that's a very big loss. Apart from that, I mean, see, there will be a lot of struggles on both fronts. I was thinking about their batting lineup. I mean, again, there is no batting depth. We talk about India's batting depth, but Sri Lanka themselves will have Shanaka batting at 6 or maybe 7, and after that it's just bowlers. Because even if they try to force fit an all-rounder, it'll be someone new. And with just a month to go to the World Cup, and if you are playing someone who's played only a handful of ODIs, that's not a positive sign. And even on the bowling front, Chamira has been injured for a while. There's no Hasaranga, like we keep saying. So even bowlers, I mean, Kasun Rajita has been their ace pacer since the last World Cup, but no real threat. I mean, we might. I mean, people who followed the Indian Premier League might be very excited about Patirana, but using him as predominantly a death bowler in T20s when no, you have to hit boundaries is one thing, but then bowling 10 overs in an ODI is a different prospect altogether, because players like Kohli and no others will just milk you for 6-7 runs every over and you won't even realize. So
No, it just makes me think of what MS Dhoni said, right? Don't put Patirana anywhere close to anything which is like a longer format than T20s, which is ridiculous. Sorry, Gurkhan, you want to say something?
Yeah, another factor, what talking about Hasaranga and their swing. So one of the reasons why they were able to do so well in the qualifiers, despite their batting not turning as much, was that they had this cheat code in the form of two spinners on Hasaranga and Tikshana. Apart from that, if you look at it, they've had Chamira and Lahiru Kumara provide them with 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 two express pace options against which we've seen Asian sides struggle. I mean, we there was enough evidence in that just recently concluded series between Afghanistan and Pakistan that you could see that if you hit Afghanistan with pace, they can also struggle. They can also struggle, and they could be rushed for it. Now with both Chamira and Lahiru Kumara also not being there, even that factor has been taken out. So they've really been hamstrung with a lot of injuries. There's no Avishka Fernando. Uh, you know, I don't know. I'm not really sure if they'll be really, if they could really go to the next stage. But probably if they had their full strength side, it would have really boded well for them, given that they were coming off a successful qualifier. And had they done well in this tournament, it would have really been something for their confidence. But with so many injuries, very difficult to say if they can conjure up something, especially given the fact that their batting's really been extremely unreliable. I mean, there are days, if Pathum Nisanka does well, or an Avishka Fernando does well, or Charit Aslanka does well, they're able to post decent totals. Like they did last year when they beat Australia in that ODI series at home. But if their batting really doesn't turn up, there's only so much your bowlers can do against associate teams with wrist spin and those mystery spin. You can still manage to get out of jail, but against full members, it will not always be possible.
Okay, guys, let's move on then. So I'm sorry, you want to make a point because we've
No,
gone on.
I just want to take a question before we move forward. There is a question about from Anshu Cricket Podcast on what will be the best to do in Sri Lankan wickets after winning the toss. So if that's all right, I just want to take it.
Yeah, go
So
on.
I mean, I just pulled up some numbers. So captains like opting to bat first, but the split is pretty equal. So in overall, in 29 ODIs since the last World Cup, captains have opted to bat first 24 times in those 29 games. But the split is even 15-13. 15 times teams batting first have won, and 13 times chasing teams have won. So nothing really to call. I mean, the best thing to say is even if you lose the toss, it doesn't really matter. And it applies to both Palekele and RPS as well, where essentially the Asia Cup games are going to be headed.
And like one of the comments said, I think there's a little bit of a weather check needed in Kandy heading into that September 2nd fixture, the India-Pakistan one. I hope it really doesn't get spoiled by rain. By the way, all you guys watching, please like this content. Really, really appreciate all you guys tuning in to our cricket.com live show to preview the Asia Cup. Much more, so stick around because we've just done previewing the 3 squads. We'll move on to the 4th right now. And Nix, again, you'll have to take over here because Bangladesh squad, mate, what is it which can threaten the other teams in this competition?
Yeah, I think Bangladesh have a very exciting squad. I hope Leighton Das and everybody gets fit. I think he had fever, so couldn't travel. So may miss a few games, and he's been a key performer for them in this format for some time now. So that said, you have a decent bunch of youngsters, I feel, who have come through the ranks, which I think is very good for Bangladesh. They've beaten sides at home. They beat India in an ODI series at home on the back of some really good performances from the team as a unit in terms of pace and spin both. So India's struggle versus left arm spin. So that man standing there, the newly appointed captain, will be a key figure there. But you still have others who can contribute in Nasoom. Mustafizur Rahman is always there and thereabouts. But I'm very interested to see how Mehdi Hassan Miraz goes. Tuskin with his fitness, Hassan Mahmood. Now all of them have played together enough. They are missing Ibadat Hussain, who was very good for them and almost like was not he did not go wicketless in like a bunch of games. over a period of 12, 13 games. So that is there. The concern for them is, of course, yes, Tamim is not there, but I do feel they have the players. It's just about Raheem, Shakib stepping up, because they have Nazmul Hussain Shanto, who's doing well. Mohammad Naeem Sheikh had a decent time, and Tawhid Ridoy. I mean, Akshay talked about it in the Monday Night Live yesterday. I think we are going to hear a lot about Tawhid Ridoy, because he's someone who I feel has most bases covered and batting at a crucial spot in the middle overs. There are very few things that trouble him. So of course, on good days, good bowlers will test him, which is good. But I think if Bangladesh can find a way to put in a team performance, then I think they could really cause a few eyebrows to be raised. That wow, this is a team who's starting to gel well as an ODI unit. I mean, they've had far more success in this format as opposed to the other two.
And we did see in the Lanka Premier League snakes on the field, but with Bangladesh fans hovering around, snakes off the field could be a scene as well. Boys, I'll get your thoughts, Gurkirat and Som, about Bangladesh, because we, of course, have our predictions to share, and it'll be fascinating, and there'll be some Bangladesh chat indeed over there. What I want right now is Gurkirat to just run by the Afghanistan squad next, because these guys, they might have lost 3-0 to Pakistan in Habantota recently, but surely they're the best out of the bad bunch, to put it. No disrespect to Afghanistan, but what do you make of that squad, Gurkirat?
Yeah, so right now my biggest concern with Afghanistan is that who's going to be their second pacer in the 11, right? Is it going to be Gulbadin? Is it going to be Kareem Jannat, or is it going to be Salim? Because Fareed Ahmed is not there in the squad, and Gulbadin came back, so that is one concern that I have. The other is outside of the top three, again, who is going to score runs for them? Because if we look at their records in the last 2 years, Ibrahim Zadran in the last 2 years has averaged around 59. Gurbaz is averaging around 38. Rahmat Shah 38, and then everyone else, the numbers just come down. There's hardly anyone averaging 30. So that is a concern. Spin attack is sorted, but death bowling and like I said, middle order, and the way they played the I think the fact that they were batting second also played a part in that in Sri Lanka, because the ball was moving around at pace. But the first game sort of gave some teams a template that if you bowl hard lengths at them, and if you can bowl it at pace, then they can be troubled. So that is something that would be interesting to see how they deal with it, especially if they have to bat second. I feel on pitches like they have to play one game in Pakistan. I think it's against Sri Lanka, so that should be better for them in terms of, especially for their batting, that could really help them. But yeah, that is what I feel, and I still feel that their biggest concern right now would be to figure out who is going to partner Fazal Farooqi, because Rahman didn't really impress me in the two games that I saw. I felt that he was more of a third pacer. I feel the same for someone like Gulbadin Naeem. So that is the biggest concern that I have when I look at the Afghanistan squad.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I think
Afghanistan, remember, go on, next.
just to add to that, but I think the form of Najibullah Zadran going down is a very downside for them, because if he and Shahidi were able to stitch a stand with the kind of player that Najibullah is in terms of taking on pace and spin decently, then there is a very good backup to Ibrahim and Gurbaz up top. That okay, then they have the likes of Nabi Karam Jannat, then they can all combine and put together 120, 140 kind of run stand after a decent opening partnership. But not having Shahidi in form, Najibullah in touch, and Nabi not always being a hit, that's then putting a lot of pressure, and then you will have your bowlers all rounders coming in. So yeah, I think batting overall in general for three sides that we'll discuss last is going to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well when you're 59 all out, right, Gurkirat?
Yeah, but I think if you're talking about these last three sides, I think what really separates Bangladesh apart from Sri Lanka and Afghanistan is that there are two pillars in Shakib and Mushfiqur. More so with Mushfiqur. Mushfiqur, has been such a crisis man. I mean, sometimes I'm not watching a Bangladesh game, but if I look at the score, I'm like, oh, they had a collapse. Mushfiqur came, scored some runs, and then those runs allowed a platform for someone like a Mehdi Hassan Miraj to allow those finishing touches. So they've had this stability in the batting for some time. Tamim's been injured and has not been able to contribute as much, but with Litton, with Shakib, they don't have the same tendency of collapsing, which is Sri Lanka or in Afghanistan have, which
Yeah.
is purely down to these guys. Mushfiqur has been phenomenal, I believe, from in the last 3-4 years. He's really been one of the pillars of their batting, which I just think really makes them a better ODI side.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, look, let's see how it goes for them, because we've not even mentioned Rashid Khan, and I know Gurkirat mentioned the cheat codes for Sri Lanka and Tiksana and Hasaranga. But Som, let me just ask you to finish up this Afghanistan chat. Rashid Khan, will he have a say, as he does normally in the 20-over competitions? 50 over, where do you place him, and how do you think he'll fare in this tournament?
Yeah, he'll definitely have a say, but then again, it's the same thing that we discussed about Pathirana. I mean, with more overs, good batters can milk him, because the point is these bowlers become tough when you have to hit boundaries of them. And in ODIs, you don't really have to hit a boundary every over. So that's the leeway that they have. And I mean, just looking, I was fascinated by this chat on Afghanistan. I mean, one more thing that usually strikes me is, apart from their openers, the strike rates of their middle order is not of the same level as you would want at this level.
Yeah.
So that is one more thing that sort of hampered.
Even for the openers, the strike rate hasn't been too much in the last 2 years. It's 83 and 84. I think what also comes down to is the fact is, and that has really sort of held back their development in ODI cricket, is that they are still not a side that is really looking, working hard or giving strike rotation a lot of importance. So many batters you have, you sometimes feel that on their day, like Gurbaz, we've seen on his day he's able to find boundaries at will. But when they get stuck on a difficult pitch, you just find that they're operating in mostly two gears. They're not really focusing as much on strike rotation as you'd want them in this format. They've improved for sure, but probably not as much.
Yeah, but I think it's not an Afghanistan problem. That's a cricket problem. Do Afghanistan really have an incentive to become better in ODI cricket? I mean, do players have incentive to be better in ODI cricket? That's a bigger question we need to ask. So I mean, I think from an Afghanistan lens, we should just be happy that they are competing, and this is not a 4-team World Asia Cup.
Okay, let's leave that Afghanistan chat there. I don't know, people in the comments might lose their mind, but look, Somesh always speaks his heart out, which is good to see. And what will be even better to see, if you guys like this particular video, because 60 of you all have been absolutely concurrently viewing our show, which is fantastic. And Rajesh Ramtel, he goes on to say, what do you think about Nepal? It's a perfect time to plug this comment in, because I'll tell you what, we're saving the best for the last. And even though Nepal have actually had a really fairy tale kind of way to usher themselves in the Asia Cup, it's kind of good to know. So here's more with our expert in terms of associate cricket, Pramod Anand, and him, and what he feels about Nepal this time around. Check it out.
So this is Nepal's first, of course, appearance in the Asia Cup. They made it through a qualifiers, which was again held at home. I think they beat UAE in the final. They played the World Cup qualifiers as well since then. They played the emerging Asia Cup as well. So they go into the tournament with a lot of cricket behind them. Strengths for this Nepal team, I would say, is the fact that they have plenty of all-rounders. They have all-rounders who can bowl seam, bowl spin, off spin, left arm spin, and of course you have someone like Lamichane leading their bowling attack. And of course, they have among those all-rounders, I'd say there are some really a couple of good names that come to mind. One is 17-year-old Gulshan Jha, who's just about starting off his career and is earmarked for a great future. Along with him, there are of course the experience of Dipendra Singh Airi and of course Karan Casey, also a good pacer and somebody who can whack. Another weakness, probably not a weakness, I'd say that they are a little thin on left-handed batting resources, especially in the middle order. I think you have only Gulshan Jha and Kushal Malla, who are the only two left-handers in the side. So I think in a way, especially in the middle orders and the depth, probably their role becomes a little more important. And I know Kushal Malla is again a wonderful hitter. I think he's one of the few Nepal players who has a strike rate of over 100 in ODIs. So that's a good thing. Another that doesn't probably work in Nepal's favor is they've lost one of the more experienced players in Gyanendra Malla, who announced his retirement recently. I think Malla has probably the second most influential cricketer for Nepal since Paras Khadka. So his experience and his skills will definitely be missed by Nepal.
Pros and cons indeed from Pramod, and he's banged on with that analysis of Nepal's squad. Just to kind of give you an indication of their names and some of the stars that you guys will see, especially against India in that 4th of September clash. Rohit Paudel is definitely a well-documented name in Nepal cricket. In fact, we're going to be doing a bunch of Nepal cricket videos throughout the course of the Asia Cup to keep you guys hooked, and we'll of course speak to fans as well on that particular day. But Nix, I just want to come to you because you of course spoke about Gulshan Jha yesterday in the Monday Night Live. What else do you like about Nepal really quickly?
Yeah, I think I was very delighted that when Pramod also had the similar name to speak as their first key player, because I think it's very exciting to see young players being able to step up on the big stage and performing like they belong here. I think that's a very important thing for such teams to have, because then it helps them navigate through tougher situations better. Like in example, UAE when they played New Zealand in the first game, they needed 72 out of 60, but they missed that experience of somebody who could take that game deep. So I think that's there with Nepal, and they've played a lot of knockout cricket all their lives now. So I think the list of all-rounders that are there, even Deep Singh Iyer sometimes doesn't get that much name or in terms of the pedigree or the potential that he has. So there are enough options there, but they'll need good contributions right from top in Burtail, going down the order so that they can punch as a unit. So they have a lot of depth, as Pramod said. Very good options in off spin, leg spin. They can adapt to conditions. Karan Casey has run through sides in the first 10 overs itself. So I know if there was Akshay, he would have definitely said it is happening on a particular date versus a particular opponent. But
It's happening tomorrow in Multan, boys. Nepal, the Rhinos are going to cause a riot. It'll be fantastic. By the way, Nepal do play the first game, and we'll be there to bring it for you all, the match previews and reviews. So that's the trend for the Asia Cup. We'll be, of course, 5 minutes before the toss. Every Asia Cup game, there are 13 of them. And, of course, we'll be doing the post-match review as well. Speaking of the fixtures, boys, let's quickly take a look at them. Before we take a look at our predictions, nearly gave it away over there. We'll come to Somesh's predictions.
Yeah, I mean, those fonts just look like it's written in a different language.
Hold on to your thoughts, Soap. Now, this is the group stage fixtures. As you can see, Pakistan, Nepal to kickstart the tournament in Multan. Then we, of course, go to Kandy and that leg where Bangladesh, Sri Lanka take on each other. Sri Lanka then actually get a 3-day break before they actually take on Afghanistan in Lahore the 5th of September. But as you can see, the two important dates from an Indian lens, at least in the group stage, is 2nd September, Saturday, and the Monday, which is the 4th of September. That'll be some two cracking jackies. I mean, I don't know about India, Nepal, essentially, but let's see what the boys have dished out in terms of their predictions, right? Right, so this is where things get interesting on the show. Let's see what the guys have said. Now, Pakistan, Nepal, no one's gone for a Nepal win. I should have gone for it. I didn't want to kind of be so nice with my predictions, but no clear upset there, guys. Pakistan, Nepal, everyone's saying Pakistan. Why? Come on.
Yeah, we can't take Kudrat for Nizam for granted, right?
Okay, so any hope of Nepal? Anything?
Maybe in a different format, but not ODIs.
You know what? I would love to see
maybe a 5-over thingy where anything can happen, but usme bhi it will be a little different. But ODI is a little tough.
Yeah, maybe the 5-over thingy could be their format in the future. Gukirat, no Nepal for you, because you've kind of, look at your predictions, you've actually gone more head over heart, right? And you're sticking that way. Cheeky man.
Yeah, I mean, see, you'd want Nepal to do well. You'd want them to. I believe if there could be a phase where they dominate, but 100 overs is a very long duration for a underdog to punch above their weight so much that they actually beat a top side. And right now, Pakistan's number one in the rankings. So yeah, maybe it was if Somesh said 5-over thingy, I would say maybe if it was a T10 game, then probably yeah they could have. But see, 100 overs is a long duration. Maybe there is like Nikhil was talking about, that they have a bowler who can run through teams. Okay, you even if the first 15 overs Nepal do well, but do they have that sustained quality in their bowling attack to tie down lineup like Pakistan, and then have the batting to do well against that bowling lineup, it's a little tough. So the best thing, I look forward to from a Nepal's perspective is that they actually put up a fight, and they put in a decent show. I'm really not expecting them to win tomorrow. If they do, then yeah, nothing like it. We could be in for a lot of because what I've seen on social media is that Pakistani humor when it comes to roasting their own team is something else. So if that, then we could be in for a lot of memes from Pakistan fans themselves.
Dude, look, all the best to Nepal and all the best to Monty Desai. And we spoke to him. We'll probably show you that interview sometime next week. Really, really good man in cricket, who was, of course, with West Indies cricket, but now he's with the Rhinos. Right, guys, just going back to those predictions, because look, Group A is straightforward. We're both thinking Pakistan and India will qualify for that Super Fours. But there are some discrepancies in terms of the other predictions, guys. Now, Somesh and me have gone for Sri Lanka to come out winners over Bangladesh. Now, why is that? I mean, are we just Hasaranga and Patiran and you guys are Shakib and Mushfiqeen? What's happening, guys?
No, but I mean, I'm surprised with the Bangladesh fandom in this conversation.
Exactly.
To me, I mean, I will be a little harsh here, but to me, Bangladesh story is the most disappointing cricket story ever. I mean, till date, they've been playing cricket for so long, and till date, they have to rely on doctoring their home pitches to get a win. Even right
this is
now,
not a good thing to say at this point in Indian cricket. Is not a good thing. Please, let's not go there. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, even right now, if they end up beating one of the top nations in world tournaments, it's still deemed an upset. It's still not become a regular thing. And I mean, I don't know. That's the reason I'm not very hopeful. I'm never very hopeful about Bangladesh whenever they're playing, unless they're playing anyone outside the top 10 playing nation. That's the only reason, guys. I mean, nothing against them. Someone has to win. Someone has to lose. Can't do.
So you basically you don't envisage Bangladesh to win a single game.
I think I've just picked teams that I would want to win, not really the teams that will win. So maybe I'm coming from that place.
Okay. So Gurkirat, next, do you guys think Bangladesh and Afghanistan will get out of the group? So do you guys think Bangladesh and Sri Lanka?
I'm just sorry to interrupt you. The last time, if I'm not mistaken, Bangladesh traveled to Sri Lanka to play 3 ODIs. They lost all 3. So थोड़ा बहुत data भी देखा था मैंने. ऐसा नहीं है कि just.
Okay.
नहीं, पर आपने डेटा देखा है, लेकिन सर डेटा देखा, लेकिन स्क्वाड भी तो देखना पड़ेगा ना कि श्रीलंका में कौन खेल रहा है और बांग्लादेश में कौन खेल रहा है.
I mean, actually, I put this prediction up before Sri Lanka announced their squad and sort of confirmed that Hasaranga is not playing. I did not go back and change it. I won't do it now. It'll be a game to look forward to for me.
Yeah. I think the reason why I've backed Bangladesh to take down the 2 games is because I feel they have started to have games on livelier wickets with pace. And that's where the difference, I feel, has come for them in terms of the performance of Shoriful at times, of Hassan Mahmood, of Taskin. So they're getting those performances in on different decks as opposed to the normal spin where Shakib, Mehdi, and the other Mehdi does the trick. So that's where I feel Bangladesh have more depth, as Paji also said just a while back, that as compared to Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, Bangladesh have that more options now. And which is where I feel the likes of Afif Hussain, Tawhid Rudra, they'll all come in handy, and they don't have to rely on 2-3 players only, which is the case as of now with Sri Lanka.
Okay, got it. So, guys,
just one last thing. If any of the Bangladesh fan is watching this and really wants to abuse me, I mean, go right ahead and do it. I don't mind. But trust me, with my words, I've given your team a very good chance of succeeding in this Asia Cup, because Avnish would be a testament to this, that whenever I've dissed a team in any of these previews, that team has gone on to do really well.
Especially when Gurkirat also kind of supports them, they go on to do really well. Gurkirat, what is with your predictions? Because you've not given Sri Lanka a single win in this year's Asia Cup. I don't think you should be going to Colombo anytime soon, my friend.
Yeah, so see, for me, Bangladesh, and I said it earlier, that Bangladesh is the better side out of the as compared to Afghanistan and Sri Lanka. Why I have chosen Afghanistan over Sri Lanka for that game is One, that game's happening in that game's happening in Pakistan. It's happening in Lahore. It's not happening in Sri Lanka. If it was happening in Sri Lanka, then I would have said that yes, they could really, if they have to bat second, they could succumb to Sri Lanka's bowling with the movement. But Lahore, the pitch is flat. It doesn't really change much. It's a good batting surface where I feel that their spinners will still be able to create some sort of a differential, and their batting will be able to do better than what it did in these last three games in Sri Lanka. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, there Hasaranga is out. There's no Chamira. There's no Lahiru Kumara. Avishka Fernando is not there. They have too many injuries. So I just feel that. And the thing with Afghanistan is that they are a side which is getting closer and closer in ODIs. That they have their opportunities, but they're not able to grasp it completely. If this game was happening in Sri Lanka, I would have said that Sri Lanka would win. But I just feel that given the fact that this game is in Lahore, where some Afghanistan players also have prior experience of playing in terms of playing the PSL, it could be a lot closer and it may not be as straightforward. So that is why I've gone with Afghanistan. If this game was in Sri Lanka, I would have said Sri Lanka.
Okay, fine. I mean, those are group stage predictions, guys, but we'll just finish this prediction chat before we get into the rest of the talking points and finish up this preview. So I just have quick 5 predictions to ask all of you guys. Quick one-word answers and 1 sentence to supplement why. Nothing more than that, Gurkirat, including you. So here goes. Who's winning the Asia Cup? Somesh, you go first.
Pakistan. I just want to
Why?
stick to whatever I've said.
Why?
We called them favorites, so I mean, might as well stick to it. What's the point of calling them favorites and then saying India is going to win it?
Okay, Gurkirat, who's winning the Asia Cup?
I'd say India. I'd hope India more than
That's the
anything else.
man. That's the man. Next, you.
India minus the experiments.
I knew there was some cheeky answer come from Knicks. So I think it's fair to say that Som's the only nationalist over here. Quickly moving on to the most runs of the tournament. Is it going to be Virat Kohli?
So I won't get a place to stay in India and nor Bangladesh. So might as well go to Pakistan, pack up and go to Pakistan.
I mean, there's some good Airbnbs in Kabul and Colombo if you fancy that. If you ever want to. But look, we'll leave it there. Most runs, guys. Is it going to be Barber? Is it going to be Kohli? Because we did some weird, wacky predictions on the Monday Night Live. But most runs, who do you guys feel is going to get that accolade in this year's Cup?
Babar Azam for me.
Okay. So?
I'd go with Ishan Kishan. I don't know why.
You didn't want Ishan Kishan to even play. What do you mean?
क्या जा रहा है चलने दो ना
सोमेश भाई अभी पूरा चादर फैला के जो लपेट में आ रहा है सबको ले लेता हूँ.
Okay, Nick, please, a sane answer.
Virat Kohli if Shreyas Iyer doesn't get all games.
Okay, I like that. I would go for Virat Kohli as well. Most wickets, is it going to be Shaheen Shah or is it going to be Bumrah?
I'm going for one of Siraj or Kuldeep.
Okay. Next, you went for Shadab. Okay, I was going to say Som's going to go for a spinner. You're going to go for a spinner as well, next?
Yeah, probably Kuldeep or Haris Rauf.
Kuldeep or Haris Rauf. All right, so get your predictions locked in the comments as well. Not in the live chat, but in the comments, guys. So Chuchan, sports fan, all the new people as well. It's really, really good to see you guys comment in terms of all the live chat going on. Bapi 2K16 saying Afghanistan, Bangladesh, dark horse. Rohan Patil saying 4 gangsters are back. I don't know which gangsters he's talking about. Gurkirat's is the only gangster here. If you guys know, you know. And of course, other questions which we'll take in the 12th man segment. Right, just a quick preview of that India-Pakistan game ahead to clip it out for socials and whatnot, guys. What are we expecting? And do you think it'll probably be a good game or do you think it'll be a dull affair? Because I asked Som this and he said, no, this game I think has all the makings of a really, really good classic game. So talk to me, India-Pakistan, and Nix, we'll start with you here.
Hopefully not a washout. I'll not mind a washout actually. Less India-Pakistan there. But otherwise, I think it should be a good game. They last played in ODI in 2019, long time back. So fresh faces for both teams in terms of similarities. But yes, as Padi said, underbelly for both sides. One hasn't got enough game, and one is looking like they have an answer, but they'll want a good form. and both bowling units firing. But I think India will want to get out of all these games with better fitness for their players. So I won't mind if India try a few things out, but hopefully not as random or as Rohit Sharma rightly said, पागलपिंदी नहीं करेंगे अपन. तो basics stick करेंगे तो hopefully we should have a thriller.
What are the key battles you guys see, Gurkirat, in this one? Kuldeep versus Babar. We've already highlighted that on our social media platform. There's, of course, India's top order against Shaheen. Any other particular subplots?
I have a feeling that Pakistan could switch Osama Mir with Nawaz, given the number of right-handers India have. So that could be a battle. And yeah, I think India's new ball bowling attack will be up against Pakistan's. I mean, we've been talking a lot about India's top three and top four versus Pakistan's three-pronged pace attack. But I think with the way Siraj has really bowled in ODIs from the beginning of 2022, I just feel that there's not been a lot of conversation about how well he's bowled. So Siraj, Bumrah, and even Hardik, if India are bowling second with some help, the Indian seam bowling attack could also be a handful for the Pakistan top order. So that could also be an interesting battle. I just think everyone's really swept it under the carpet. It could really be one of those games, especially if conditions favor the Indian bowling attack, wherein the Indian bowling attack could even outperform Pakistan bowling attack, given how well they've been in form and doing well. So that is one thing. But I think I don't remember the last time I felt that, especially in ODIs, that the Indian team and the Pakistan team were so close in terms of quality and balance. Because usually you'd say over the last decade or so, you could comfortably say that India were the superior side or India, were the outright favorites. But this time it is far more closer. And yeah, given the fact that games will be in Sri Lanka, the one thing that I like about games in Sri Lanka is that there is some help available for bowlers all the time. In terms of the sea breeze, there's bounce, stern is there, so we could see a lot of good quality ODI cricket. Not where where you are having a total of 320 chase 320. It could be 270 sort of games, and they could be really good ODI games.
So Gurkirat has a habit of writing long sentences, and you can see why.
The sea breeze and all of that. So I want to ask you about India's modus operandi, right? Are they more comfortable in chasing on that match against Pakistan, or do you think they should bat? I mean, first?
That's a good question, actually. So, I just want to step back and you were talking about matchups. For me, Pakistan space attack against Indian batters is as good as it gets as a contest in cricket. Across the globe. So that's very mouth-watering. Especially, I'm looking forward to Naseem Shah versus Virat Kohli. The two cricketers are absolutely loved. No matter, I know you guys will, who hear me, will not feel what I'm feeling right now, but that's a fact. Apart from that, it's a trick question, tough question. I would rather have Rohit Sharma lose the toss. Like I said, I pinpointed to numbers earlier. It really doesn't matter, yaar. It should not matter. I can see India struggling either way, even if they bat first and they lose a few wickets. It might be tricky if they're chasing a moderate total and lose few early wickets. Things can become interesting. So it really doesn't matter. India will have to bat well either way.
There are a couple of things which need to be taken in consideration, right, Nix? The weather is one thing, because that obviously goes into your thinking as the captain winning the toss and what do you want to do. And generally, how Pakistan have been dismantling teams in ODI cricket, right? Their strategy is pretty much bundle the opposition out and then canter home. If Pakistan win the toss, is that an immediate advantage, or do you think not necessarily?
See, I think the thing that, as Umesh said, the thing with these two teams is they are in terms very predictable in terms of how they go about it. So if India are bowling first, you know for sure that India's best chance is to just take care of the top three. You back your best seam attack to take care of the top three, to not give them a great start or control them. And then with a soft underbelly in the middle order, you still have a Kuldeep who can fire good in a good way to take wickets in the middle over. So that is also sorted. And if India are batting first, then also they know for sure that first over you have to play maiden. I don't care what Som says about playing the first over maiden in this format, but I'll happily play out the first over maiden here. So that Yorker is taken care of. And then, see, Pakistan's issue with the ball has been the middle overs wickets, which Paji touched upon. And India's best batting is when a top order is set, and then if KL will not play, but if Shreyas and others are playing in that time, they can really outbat the opposition. So that's where I look in terms of both scenarios. But very early board call, Shardul Thakur to take a 4 and a few runs with the bat.
Okay, love
just want to go back to the point that Nikhil said about playing the first over maiden. I absolutely have no problem with players doing it in ODIs. But my point is, you should not go thinking that you're going to play out the first over maiden, because then you're not playing the ball, you're playing the bowler. And if you ask every successful athlete or cricketer or whatever, they'll always say that play the situation. Don't play the man, play the situation, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, let's see how India kind of go across to Pallekele and play Pakistan. We'll, of course, be bringing the match preview and review. Gurkirat, yeah, tell me.
I think this is also a long time after which Virat and Rohit are playing ODIs in Sri Lanka, because they weren't there in 2021. And if my memory serves me right, I think the last played in ODIs in Sri Lanka was probably 2018 or 2017. Maybe Nikhil can.
Where they dominated. It was like men versus boys.
There was a time where, Virat and Rohit playing Sri Lanka, whether in India or in Sri Lanka, they would take it with both hands. But now,
but actually, Virat's numbers in Sri Lanka aren't that good. Just to put it out.
Yeah, aren't that good. But yeah, I think they're playing in Sri Lanka after a long time.
Yeah,
when was the last time
India? It's for both actually.
When was the last time
averages
India
the
and
least
Pakistan played? When was the last time India and Pakistan played in Sri Lanka in ODI? Was it the Harbhajan hitting Shoaib Akhtar for a 6? Was it that game in 2010?
In ODIs or in any format?
ODIs.
In ODIs, I think it would be that game in Asia Cup. But they played each other in the 2012 T20 World Cup in Sri Lanka.
Okay, guys, it's going to be an absolute contest. Join us in terms of cricket.com's content throughout the Asia Cup, not just the India-Pakistan game. And a quick one, like Nick said, he's gone for a bold prediction. Even I'm going to go for one. It's the inevitable man of the match. The king will, of course, do things which only the king can do. Guys, it's been a fantastic live show. Let's, of course, end by taking some of the viewers' questions. So keep them coming through. And we'll take some of the comments right now. Lots of people saying, yes, that's a Vikram statement. Vikram Mohanty is absolutely having a laugh in the comments over there. But we'll take some good questions coming through right now. And I'll start with, who do I start with? Because there's so many good ones on my right. I will probably start with, just something strange. But many people have said, what is the mockery of the World Cup tickets? Everyone's been asking this to us across our social media. Now that we have the big four boys, at least the big three, and I'm just a mere mortal, what is with the tickets, guys? And can you just talk to me about it and give me your 2 pence on it, please?
I just put it down to one thing. There's just lack of seriousness and accountability with the tickets, with the scheduling, everything. I mean, we've discussed this earlier. I mean, it's a World Cup. You anyway are releasing schedules so late, and then you have to make 8 changes because you didn't realize that there was a festival. And it's not some small festival. It's a big festival. You are anyway keeping the World Cup during the festive season in the country. There will also be Diwali while the World Cup is going on. So you have to be more cognizant of these things. One thing people have completely forgotten is that initially the press release came out and people were asked to register on the ICC World Cup website. Now, whether you register or you don't register, it makes no difference because you're booking from Book My Show. And we could very well be in for a World Cup where non-India games you will struggle to see more than 25% occupancy. The tickets are released so late and they are being released in batches, you don't know. And non-India games, some prices are expensive. So it just makes you think that what would be the prices for India games. I have just sort of decided and given up that I am not trying. Kahin se koi mil jaye, koi bhala aadmi de de, to chale jayenge, because otherwise...
That bhala aadmi is here, this man over here. Oh, sorry. This man over here. Can you... Somesh. He's already got his tickets, man. Ask him how he's got his tickets. He's a MasterCard holder.
It's just the one, and I planned for it like while back. So let's not go there. I mean, the point is, the adjective that you have to use is callousness. I mean, it's not just,
Yeah.
I mean, the point is, it is not made. The plan itself is not made for the common man. People will, with resources, will inevitably find a way to shell out a large chunk of money and get those tickets. But it is essentially not made for the common man. But also, let's not forget that the demand in our country is like too high. I mean, stadiums can afford 30,000, 40,000 seats, but the demand would be really, really high. So, I mean, you can't blame the system that much as well. It's only, I mean, you might have to have bigger stadiums going forward with capacities exceeding 5 lakhs. So that's the only way you can sort of arrange for more people to go and watch these games. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And let's not forget, I mean, these tournaments are an opportunity to bring people from abroad as well to the country to cater for the sort of traveling revenue and so on and so forth. So you have to get this quota aside, which is not right, which is not democratic, to be honest. But if you really, I mean, the other thing that could have been arranged for is physical tickets at the venue. And we all know how that would have turned out. So, I mean, there is absolutely no right answer to sort this out. Even if you start the sale 1 year ago, it would have still be the same. The tickets would have been sold out within 5 minutes.
What Sumesh said here is something which is very important about bringing tourism to the country. I think around a month or a half ago, we had Bastav who had written an article about this, that how the delay in schedule announcement and then the further delay in tickets is also leading to a bad press in terms of people not being able to come to the country, because if you're not able to book the tickets,
but
how will you come?
I'll tell you what, Gurkirat, I mean, this is coming from my personal experience, that the people who have to buy tickets from abroad, they're not going to buy through websites. They're going to buy through agents, and agents have their system in place where they don't care even if the tickets are released 7 days back, because they have a surety that there are certain number of tickets that they will receive. So, I mean, people who are in it, they know how the system works. It just comes down to the callousness about the common fan. And to be really honest, Indian cricket has never been about the common fan. I mean, fans, they talk on Twitter, they cry. I've come across, in my editing life, I've come across people who promise to write something and then don't write because they are saddened by the result. So just imagine, they're going to earn few bucks, but they don't care, because they don't care about that money, because they care about the result so much. So I at times feel very, very bad for the fans, that I don't really think that they deserve this. They deserve a lot better. But to be honest, I don't see a possible solution of sorting this out. Maybe that's the reason why I have so many bilateral games, that at least the common man can go and enjoy those.
But even those, right? I remember India Sri Lanka last year, we had to wait so long to just get tangible tickets, and it gets sold out, like Som said, within minutes if you put it online. And I don't know why they can't take a page out of the other sports. But look, we'll leave that chat there. And God bless all of you guys going to get tickets for this World Cup, because we're trying. I'm sure everyone's trying. And they've released certain dates and venues where you can go get tickets. But even there, it'll probably be a mini stampede. So God bless all you guys. Let's take a couple of questions to wrap proceedings up. Ansu Cricket Broadcast, if you're new, subscribe, please, and like this video. Next, you take this because you've been quiet, and it's good to see that. Is there a chance for Surya to be in the 11 for this Asia Cup? Surely not, but do you think so?
Unless you have 3 injuries, no.
Yeah. There's no chance he'll start, right?
Only one scenario for me. If India win their first 2 Super 4 games and they are assured of qualification in the final, and they want to give a chance to Surya Kumar Yadav, then maybe they rest one of the players and give him a chance, because I think it's obvious that they rate his ability, they want to back him, but at the same time, given his return so far, they'd want him to get some runs. So unless India and that is also not a given, because the counter argument would be, you want to give game time to those who are just coming back. So it's also not a given, but that's the only possibility I see, and that's also not a given.
Okay. Sports fan going on to ask you, Somesh, what should the strategy be to counter park bowlers with the new ball? Should Rohit Gill over attack in the power play? How would you send them out with the messaging that you want them to bat?
Guys, I mean, you're talking about one player who essentially has been playing international cricket for a decade. So they don't really need to change anything. I mean, this is the best format for all Indian batters. They just have to be themselves. That's fine. The new ball will swing for like 5-6 overs, played out, and then make merry when the sun shines. Or make hay when the sun shines. वो कादर खान का डायलॉग याद आ गया मुझे, मिसाल तो ठीक से दिया कर.
Oh my word. Okay, couple of last ones, because obviously we really appreciate all you guys tuning in and with your questions, so we can't really leave you guys out. Abu Bakar Mir, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. He goes on to ask Gurkirat the Knicks, why Indian selectors are going with KL when he's unfit? It proves Gautam Gambhir's point that nowadays we select the name, not form.
Firstly, Gautam Gambhir's points keep changing. Okay. We have to agree on that.
I mean, it's not Gambhir. Who is... Name one ex-cricketer or ex-coach, whatever, who is making consistent points.
Yeah. Okay. So their points are mostly like, ठीक है, बहती गंगा में हाथ धो दो. आज गंगा इस तरफ चल रही है तो उस तरफ.
आज मैं बैठ के इस तरफ से उतरा था. आज मैं उस तरफ से उतरा था.
There are few experts we have like that. Yeah, go on.
So my question, I just answered this question with a counter question that, name a middle order batter who's had the same body of work as KL in the last one and a half year, who's had the same body of work, who's been able to resurrect an innings, save a collapse, or has been able to come in and straight away start batting at a strike rate of 110, 115, and has the same skill set. I know there's a huge question mark in terms of KL's performances in big matches, and it's a very valid question mark against him. But you need to have someone who can give you that assurity which KL has provided in this format. And there's something
and
that
also see questions also. He's done well in this format, so we are not mixing formats also here. He's done very well, one of the best players at that position, and we have been trying to fill that spot for a decade now. So if somebody is doing that, we'll have to respect at least that bit. That is, whatever chances he's got, he's done well. I think the perception of KL Rahul is different for the T20 player and the ODI player, and we are mixing those formats. So I hope we don't do that. And then in the big stage, he was a designated middle order batter, then he went on to open. So he hasn't actually got enough chances also in this format in the big games to do well. So this could be the time, and let's see what he does in Asia Cup.
And one of the reasons why, what people don't understand why he gets backed is because he's been able to do whichever team management has asked. You want to bat 4? Oh, we want someone to bat 4. Okay, KL Rahul. We want someone to, open because the main opener is injured. KL Rahul's there. We want someone to keep because the main keeper got concussed. KL Rahul's there.
It sounds like you're talking about Rahul Dravid in the 2000s.
It's similar without a doubt. So sometimes, team management should also respect.
काम तो सुना होगा.
नाम दोनों का सुना है, काम अभी फिलहाल एक ही का सुना है.
So teams will also respect this fact that, okay, there has been this player who's done everything what we have asked for him and done it decently. So India, like I said, there is no one who's really set the stage on fire as or replicated KL's performances. So there's right reason to stick with him. And this management has time and again shown that they value experience. KL was there in the 2019 World Cup. They value that experience. If there is no KL, then at 4 and 5, you will have two players who have had no experience of playing in the World Cups. Because Shreyas has not played a World Cup before.
Those are great points. I
will actually go on to say that this is KL's last chance for an international career.
Whoa.
I won't say that. No. I won't say that, but I would say that it could be a legacy defining tournament for him. If he doesn't have a good World Cup, then that reputation that is there with him of not being able to perform in big games and being a minnow basher, I think it will stick with him. But if he's able to perform, that reputation, he'd be able to come out of that reputation. Because in T20 World Cups, there, 2 T20 World Cups he's played where it has happened that he's not been able to perform against big teams. Otherwise as well, in T20s he's inflicted a lot of self-harm on his game. So this could be a legacy defining tournament for someone like him, and God knows he needs it, because everyone knows the kind of scrutiny he's subjected to on social media. I'm really worried for him because he's been that kind of cricketer who, when he's come back from injury, he's not been able to hit the strap straight away. He will take some time, whichever game he takes, and then there would be added pressure. Oh, he's not done well in the Asia Cup, and then the 3 games that will happen against Australia will be the key for him. Or else the outside noise against him could grow very big, and it could play a part on his psyche too.
Okay, we'll take some more comments. We're really running out of time. In fact, we've overshot it so much so it's almost becoming like a first innings of an IPL game, like 1 hour, 25 minutes odd. Nani Code, meanwhile, saying World Cup tickets on the moon, wait for Chandrayaan 4. Unknown saying Somesh, Gilly writes paragraphs, and meanwhile, Somesh is doing the same. They're not dumb, this public. They are absolutely smart. We love it. Now, we'll take 2 more to end proceedings. One comes from Koteswarao Mariseti. Who is the finisher for India? He or she asks. I say she because there's a different picture over there. Because Hardik wants to be an anchor and Jadeja hitting capability gradually reduced from last 2 years. That's a good question. I want Hardik, but I don't know if you guys feel like it's not in his skill set anymore.
Maybe it's time for Nikhil to speak.
Okay, yeah, we'll give this to Nikhil.
I think a very legit question. More so because of the form that Hardik has had and the dips that he's had in this format, pertaining to how he wants to start. But I feel whenever Hardik's given himself time, he's done better. But that tempo will have to be found. And what will help him is if Shreyas gets going. Because I think that is a very sweet spot then, that if you have one of the top order batting deep, and then you have Shreyas coming in and being fluent, that will just help Hardik take that risk earlier if he wants to, and then just start to flow. I think a lot of this, in an ideal world, this 4, 5, 6 is as good as it can get. If you ask somebody, KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer, Hardik Pandya, you won't get a better name there in terms of numbers and pedigree. So it is just when they play together, I think the roles are clearly defined. So which is where Shreyas coming good at 4, I think will help Kishan if he's batting at 5 in that regards, and then Hardik to give him that time. India have always relied on the top order batting deep, and then KL and everybody comes in, then chips in. So which is why I feel Shreyas Iyer's role, he could be the finisher that you're looking for. So what actually Paji said for KL, I feel it's going to be for Shreyas Iyer. Because if Shreyas Iyer can have a very good World Cup at 4, he is a potential captain material in this format.
Okay, super. Som, you take the last one because you, of course, think Ishan Kishan is going to be the leading run getter in this year's Asia Cup. You said it. You said it a while ago.
But I've already said that I don't think he's the right choice at number 5. If you want to play him, either have him open or maybe convince Virat Kohli to bat at 4. If you're fixated to play Ishan Kishan, then one of maybe Gill or Rohit have to come down to 3, and then Virat goes at 4.
But
not ideal.
Yeah, because he's gone on to copy paste his question so much, so we take it.
And it's not just about strike rotation, guys. I mean, the point is, just a few days to go before the World Cup, why would you try something that you have not done so far? You had more than a year to try this. Ishan Kishan has been in this ODI side for a while, and you always knew this, that there is no lefty in your first 11. KL Rahul is overworked. He was never a first choice keeper anyway. Had Rishabh Pant been fit, maybe that spot would have been Rishabh Pant's. So the point is, why now? Why do something now? And then if you're doing something now, then then all the criticism is valid. I mean, today Rahul Dravid has made a statement that we don't experiment for the sake of experimenting. Now, if you do this today, ऐसा तो कोई rocket science आप नहीं लगा रहे ना जो common man को समझ में नहीं आए.
I mean, it's points to be, of course, noted.
For me, there's only one slight difference to what Somesh said, that if Ishan Kishan opens, instead of pushing Virat Kohli to 3 or Rohit Sharma to 3, I'd stick with Rohit Sharma as an opener, Virat at 3, and I'd rather have Shubman Gill at 4. Because I feel that against spin, in the middle overs, he could start better as opposed to Rohit or Virat. I'd rather make that change rather than moving Virat to number 4. Moving Rohit to number 4 is something I don't think can work, because Rohit predominantly is one player who looks to score more of his runs through boundaries rather than taking those singles and doubles.
And also one thing, all of us really always have wanted Kohli and Rohit to bat together, but there's a reason they've not batted together for in a lot of games, because they are very different players. Rohit is not someone who would convert ones into twos or twos into threes like Virat does. So that also affects, everything is affected by I know that change, and hence what I'm saying is first choice should not be Ishan Kishan at all. Your first choice should just go to Samson, so that your fulcrum, your nucleus is not getting changed. You will have to change a lot of things to force it Ishan Kishan.
All right, guys. Look, it's been an absolute delight. Somij is saying, rate my unorthodox playing 11. Yeah, we'll quickly take it. Rohit, Ishan, Virat, Shubman
So
Gill.
he's basically in the Gurkirat boat. Oh, he has Akshar and Shardul both. Oh, nice.
He has Akshar and Shardul both. He's going for Shubman Gill at number 4. And he's saying Shreyas Iyer can interchange batting position with Jadeja at number 5 or 6. Look, we really love all your thoughts. Shahid 786, Pakistan is ODI number 1 team. I'm sure they are. In terms of the rankings, they are, Shahid. So enjoy the cricket.com content. And of course, do subscribe if you guys are new. Thanks so much, Gurkirat, Nick, and Somesh for making it such a excitable preview for an Asia Cup, which should be exciting by itself. 13 games, of course, and we'll be there to cover it all the way from August 31st to September 17th. That's when you guys can catch us. And let's see how it all trickles across. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from us. But before we go, we always told you that the Asia Cup has a little history to it. We're going to put out a cricket.com classic because it's Tuesday, and if you guys know, you know. Here's a little teaser to why and how the Asia Cup actually came about 39 years ago. Where the story needs to take a slight detour towards the West, as the most interesting and inspiring character of the story enters with his money, might and vision, an Emirati sheikh. And come 1984, the first ever Asia Cup sponsored by Rockmans was organized. So you can watch that. That, of course, drops in another 20 minutes. It's an absolutely brilliant video in terms of how the narration has been going on. It was literally a businessman from Sharjah, like you saw there, an Emirati who met up with a Pakistan dude. He met up with an Indian dude. And, of course, the Asia Cup was bought. Obviously not like that, but you guys get the gist. And we'll leave it there, guys. It's always good to see Som, Gurkirat and Nick smile. And I think that's how we'll end proceedings on cricket.com. Subscribe and like this, and of course, download the app if you haven't already. Thumbs up from all of us. Just give us the best possible smile so we can end the show, guys. Cheers.